What if I told you that we could match every viable volunteer in the United States with an opportunity at the American Red Cross that matches their interests, skills, knowledge, and orientation? We think we've cracked the code to do exactly that on this Action Learning Project team, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. So the problem statement that we were given is that the Red Cross needs to increase its presence in communities across the United States, and in particular through volunteer engagement, recruitment, retention, and recognition. The hypothesis that we have come up with as an Action Learning team is that we need to vastly increase the inventory of Red Cross volunteer opportunities, and we'll tell you why in just a minute. But we've come up with a really fun way to do that, that will involve every Red Cross employee and every current volunteer in a really engaging process that will be resource light but impact heavy, so big ROI here. And the second thing is that we've developed a formula that will help us to perfectly recruit and match volunteer opportunities with recruitment strategies with the interests of potential volunteers. And that's a really exciting thing to tell you about as well. So our vision, you can see here, the biggest one is that we want every community in the US to have a strong Red Cross presence. We want to be able to match all volunteer applicants with volunteer opportunities that appeal to their skills, motivations, and work preferences. We want every Red Cross unit to enhance their capabilities by engaging and supporting volunteers. And this is a really good start to having a positive volunteer experience if we use this rubric. We want to understand the impact, value, and cost of every volunteer opportunity we create and to be able to pass that on to all the volunteers who we do recruit. We want to be operating a consistent recruitment strategy across the country that attracts the right volunteers for the right positions. And we want to be able to prioritize a targeted recruitment for specific volunteer jobs based on the level of impact they have or the priority that senior leaders like you are giving to us. So we want to increase that sweet spot area in the Venn diagram and really make it a single circle that is perfectly matched. And we think we know how to do it. So let's look at a couple of facts. As of September 2014, we have 7,428 volunteer opportunities available, which sounds like a lot and is really great, except that we have about 13,000 new volunteers who complete an intake form every month, or about 156,000 people who reach out to the Red Cross to volunteer every year. So we've come up with a way to help match those numbers quite a bit and to make the Red Cross an aspirational place to volunteer, and so that we have great opportunities available at all skill levels. We'll ask every Red Cross unit to participate in a volunteer inventory brainstorming, which I already discussed. They'll come up with potentially hundreds of new volunteer job descriptions that will be categorized by 4 factors: volunteer orientation, job type, job location preference, and job hours. And I'll go into detail about what each of those mean in just a minute. But to cut to the chase in the end, I'll tell you, like Myers-Briggs, we can actually boil down the way each person wants to volunteer into a 4-factor code. We can boil down every volunteer job opportunity we have and create into that same 4-factor code. And so we can create perfect matches. For example, if we hope to recruit community leaders, as we do, we want a volunteer who is a networker, who is looking for a volunteer role, who wants to work at external events in the community, and who has a flexible schedule. So that a community leader has a volunteer profile of an NREF. So using our tool, whenever someone enters that they are an NREF, the volunteer manager will be pinged and will be able to make that match. And the potential community leader will be able to see that that's an option in her community. So this is a 4-factor rubric. You can see here there's 45 kinds of volunteers, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually a really simple formula, and so it's super easy. There's 4 types, 3 volunteer job types, 3 volunteer preferred location types, and 4 availability types. I'll go over each of these. The volunteer types, everybody can be one of these 4, or who wants to volunteer as one of these 4. A helper, these are our mass care workers, our CPR instructors, our blood drive workers. All the people we've typically thought of as Red Cross volunteers are helpers. Thinkers are those people who might be like volunteer consultants or strategic advisors, who are futurists, innovators, marketing designers, creatives. people who are really helping us with the strategic direction of the Red Cross and usually working on projects. Networkers. These are the face of the community. These are the people that we will spend most of our time talking about in our presentation, as they are the volunteer leaders, the community leaders, the Red Cross executives, the board members, the mobilizers. And organizers, who are your typical data entry people, people who are data managers, system specialists, administrative workers. Next, we have the availability volunteers. There's 4 kinds. They can volunteer during the regular business day, can volunteer on evenings and weekends. You're flexible, or you want to volunteer on your own time and independently. Work locations: in a Red Cross office, at an external event or operation, or from a remote location. It's not rocket science, but putting it in a formula like this makes it super easy for us to match up types with opportunities. And finally, the types of jobs at Red Cross. We think we can boil down every job opportunity into one of 3 categories. A task that takes 4 hours or less to complete. It might be recurrent, it might have to take place several times a day or once a day, but a single person can do this activity and complete it within a 4-hour period. A project is a bit longer and is usually done in a team and has a defined outcome. So a group of people will be working towards a goal, and volunteers can participate in that through project jobs. And then roles, which are what we typically consider Red Cross volunteer jobs. This is where the person really associates their identity with this particular role. There's a series of responsibilities attached, and their commitment is to do it for at least 6 months. So this is a little visualization of how we see a volunteer self-assessment tool looking, particularly on a mobile device. So the volunteer will choose what kind of volunteer she wants to be, the kind of how she wants to volunteer, role, project, or task. Then she'll pick when she wants to donate her time, and then she'll choose where she wants to volunteer. And then she'll tell, if she's chosen a couple of the factors, she'll tell us where she is. And then we'll spit out her profile and let her know, based on her preferences, she is an NTEE. That means she is a networker, that face-to-face leader of the community looking for just task-based volunteer jobs on evenings and weekends at local community events. And we have 23 current matches for her. So one of those might be that she is to represent the Red Cross at the local junior league every month. So if she chooses that one and says yes, I can say, okay, well, here's the value proposition, what the Red Cross gets out of this, what you get out of this, what the impact will be, here's what your commitment will be, and the training required for you to get on board and do this. Are you still interested? Great, fill out this intake information, the background check authorization, et cetera, and we'll match you up with the volunteer manager who's recruiting for this position. To explain a little bit more, there are the code, the rubric we've created. There are 3 kinds of networkers. You'll see NREF, NPEF, and NTEF. There's 3 kinds of thinkers along those same lines. There's 12 kinds of helpers, and there's 27 kinds of organizers. So after we figured out those roles, what we decided to do was say, well, how would we recruit people? So we did a deep dive into the orientations of each of the volunteer types, who would fill the helper roles, who would be most likely to fill the networker roles, et cetera, et cetera. And then we actually broke down each of those by generation and employment status, and created a fact sheet for each one of them, where you can see the facts and then some broad stereotypical assumptions that we're making around the preferences of this particular group, and the conclusions about how we will recruit each of them. So you'll see we did the same for the boomers, Gen X, and millennials, as well as skills and hobbies profiles. So people who are a chef group, a barbecuing group, that sort of thing. So now I'll shift to the rubric. This is an Excel file for right now, but it's very cool. We've actually created a box for every single one of these factors, and we can sort on them to find exactly what we need. So say we're looking for a community leader, we'll choose networker. If you'll remember, that was an NREF, so role, external events, and flexible. And we get these 5 outcomes for, you'll see, matures, these 5 generational groups. over here. And what's really cool about this tool is that you not only get to see which people are the most likely to want to volunteer for the community leader position, but we've created a box for the particular motivations of someone in this generation or employment status, as well as the recruitment points that you'd want to use to entice them to do this job, and the tools you'll want to use that will get to this group the most efficient way. Go back to. And we've created this implementation plan. So obviously we want your blessing and a bit of investment and help in the communication of things, and we'll create all the materials, announcements, communications, trainings to set us up to really succeed here. We don't think any of this is all that is cost prohibitive, but has an enormous ROI. These are the deliverables we'll be providing, and the anticipated costs we're still analyzing, but they will most likely be wrapped up in enhancements to our Red Cross suite of apps, perhaps a form on redcross.org, and a few changes to Volunteer Connection, which we're working on analyzing right now. So thank you very much.